Hey, what is going on, everyone? Hey, my name is Matt Willingham, and I'm excited to get to hang out with you in this session as we talk about raising kids in a screen-saturated world. Oh, I'm so excited for this one. We're going to have a good time. And hey, I just want to remind you, if you're watching today, make sure in the comment section in the chat, throw in your name, your kid's name, your school name. Let us know you was here checking it out. And again, I'm so glad to be here hanging out with you. Can't thank the consortium enough. Again, the Elkhart St. Joe County Consortium for Head Start, man, does an incredible job of resourcing us as parents and as leaders, because that's what we are. We're leading our families, right? And so today is going to be another exciting session about how can we as parents, right, do our due diligence, right? Again, in raising our kids. And listen, I know you care. Why do I know you care? Because you're here watching this. So that lets me know right off the bat, you're like, I want to be, the best mom, the best dad, the best grandparents I can be. And so that's what we're going to dive in with in this session is the joys of screen time, right? The side effects of screen time, right? And what we can do as moms, dad, as grandparents. Again, how do we raise these kids that we have in a screen saturated world? I'm right in the mix of it. I've got teenagers, and so I know exactly what it's not just a teenager problem, right? The kids are younger and younger with screen time, and what we're going to talk about in this session. Now, listen, by no means do I think I'm an expert, but I have done some research. I have read some things, and so I'm just going to share with you some knowledge that's been passed on to me and some studies that I have read. And again, because what we're going to talk about when it comes to this raising kids in a screen saturated world is protecting their brain, protecting their attention, their future. And kind of the big idea is this: listen, technology is a wonderful tool, but it's a terrible parent, right? It's a wonderful tool, but it's a terrible parent. And listen, I'm glad for technology. I'm thankful. I'm grateful for technology and the technological advances we have made makes our life easier as well. But when it comes to raising our kids, it's a terrible parent. I don't know about you. Do you remember? Maybe some of you are a little bit more seasoned in life, like myself, or maybe even a little bit more. But do you remember when the punishment was go outside? Y'all remember that, right? Hey, you're getting on my nerve. Get outside. And they would, I remember growing up, my mom would even lock the screen door behind me, right? And so then if I would come to the door, she would just talk to me through the screen door, wouldn't even let me back in the house. Now the punishment is what? Come on, we all know. Hey, give me your phone. Give me your tablet, right? Hey, give me your video game controller. And that's kind of just the world we live in, right? So we're going to talk about what do we do with that, with all of the technology we have around us. And a question I have for you is how many hours, and you could type it in the chat if you want, put it in the comments, maybe just answer to yourself. How many hours do you think the average child spends on screens each day? Just think about that, right? In school, in life, with tablets, how many hours with video games do you think the average child spends on screens each day? All right, you ready for it? They've done the study, and this is what studies tells us. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics and recent national surveys, this is what they say. Ages 8 to 12 years old, they average 5 to 6 hours a day. Teens average 8 to 9 plus hours a day. That's a work day, y'all. And this doesn't even include schoolwork. That's not even including, right? Again, the joys of technology in school that we have. When you think of that and when you begin to break those hours down, that's over 100 full days. Get this, every year looking at a screen. So the question is not this. The question isn't whether screens are part of our life. The question is, are we allowing screens to shape our kids more than we are? I think that's something that's very important because I kind of want to get into a few things today, and I don't want to bog us down, but let's just talk about the developing brain part of this aspect of the screen time, right? Now we know through studies and through people that are way smarter than me, we know that the brain develops from the back forward. back forward, right? So this is kind of how the brain develops. Back forward. Back is your movement, right? Kids start to walk, crawl, move around, right? They're moving their motor muscles, all of those things. So the back is the movement. The middle is the emotions, right? We all know when the emotions start to come alive in our kids, right? We know what that's all about. And the frontal part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex is the decision making. Now, the crazy part about that, the front part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, doesn't fully mature. Now, get this, until around the age of 25. So what does that tell us? That tells us kids, even young adults, teenagers, they struggle with self-control, delayed gratification, emotional regulation, wise decision making. Come on, maybe some of you just got some older kids as well. It's like, why is my 22-year-old still making some dumb decisions? Because that part of the brain's not fully developed, right? And so here's the connection, right? Screens are designed by thousands of engineers to keep people engaged. And so the sad reality of it is, right, as parents, as we're parenting these kids, kids don't stand much of a chance, right? They don't stand much of a chance. I'll give you an example. When it comes to the brain, we're talking about the brain, right? There's this chemical called dopamine. Now, I'm not going to get very into the weeds of this, but dopamine, right? It's known as the happy chemical. That's just what we'll think of it as. It's the happy chemical. Now, pay attention because this matters, right? It's the happy chemical. So this is what happens with screens. Every notification, every TikTok, every YouTube short, right? I've walked into the living room before and my kids are watching the TV in the living room. And what are they doing? They're just scrolling through YouTube shorts. I'm like, what are we doing, right? Every game reward, every unlock achievement, right? Every Snapchat streak, like we can keep going on. This is what studies have told us is that it creates another dopamine hit. Now watch this. What is it? It's the happy chemical. All right. So because every time I'm on that screen, I get another hit of dopamine, the happy chemical, right? The thing that kind of really, oh man, that feels good. Over time, watch, normal life starts feeling boring. Normal life, such as homework, reading, hanging out with friends, conversations, right? Maybe going to a church setting, like whatever it might be, being outside, right? All of that feels slower than the brain has become accustomed to. This is wild. Like, think of this. Like, we're just now getting into the weed. We're just now getting started on this whole screen time thing. And so we're raising kids. Watch this. We're raising kids who expect excitement because of their screen time, because of those hits, the dopamine. We're raising kids now whose brains expect excitement every 8 seconds. That's wild. I mean, so what is happening in our kids' brains? Instant gratification is being taught, right? Screens are teaching them, I want it now. Real life teaches you got to wait, right? Real life teaches, hey man, sometimes it's good to be patient. And what happens? Waiting develops patience and perseverance and resilience. And screens are eliminating that waiting period. Excuse me. Thought I had a sneeze. Screens are eliminating that waiting period, right? Just like you had to wait, see if I was going to sneeze or not. They're eliminating the waiting period because of the dopamine hit. It's just so rapid, it's so quick, every 8 seconds, right? And so, what does that do? Screens are affecting their learning because they're looking for that excitement every 8 seconds. What's happening? We know it, we see it. Their attention span is shorter. Now we know as we study, attention is like a muscle. The more we constantly switch, watch this, not the stronger, the weaker it becomes. Kids today, because of screens, they consume information. You've seen it, and we've even seen it as adults, TikToks, Reels. Kids today consume information in 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, right? Moments. And school asks them to focus in 20-minute and 45-minute sections, right? Reading a chapter requires focusing for 5 minutes. I've seen it in my own life sometimes. Writing an essay, doing homework. Those are completely different brain activities. Memory, right? We can even talk about memory. Learning requires, so this is what learning requires: attention, working memory, and long-term memory. And watch this. If attention is never locked in, then learning never sticks. Come on, have you ever done it even as an adult, right? Because we have phones, we have screens, right? We've even seen it in our own life because of TikTok, Instagram, Reels, feeds, right? YouTube. You ever been like sitting down and you're like, you know what? I'm going to do something amazing. I'm going to read and I'm going to just focus my mind. And as you're trying to read, your mind is wandering all over the place, and you can read for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it might be. And you close the book up and you're like, I don't even know what I just read. What is that? Right, that's the memory muscle, that's the brain activity, the muscle in our mind that has become weak, right? Because the attention isn't locked in. Learning never sticks. And again, I know oftentimes we're like, oh, multitask, we can multitasking is largely, study after study shows us, is largely a myth. Research consistently shows that people who switch attention rapidly are usually performing worse on each task as they switch. And so again, this is just the brain part. We're talking about learning. We're talking about memory. This is just the brain part of the screen activity. Let's talk about creativity because of the screens. Boredom, right? Oftentimes our kids think boredom is the enemy, but boredom is where creativity begins. Right. And if we're not careful, every quiet moment is filled with the phone. Come on, y'all know, you've seen it before. You ever go in, maybe you're going to the dentist, the doctor's office, but you're waiting. And I'm guilty of it too. I watch people, and I know I do it. The minute people sit down, maybe you're waiting for a haircut, what's the first thing people do? Pull out the phone and begin to scroll, right? Because we can't just sit in silence, right? We can't just like be there. You're waiting at the airport. I'm scrolling on my phone. Boredom, and oftentimes we think, oh, I'm bored. That's not the enemy. That's where creativity begins. Every quiet moment, though, in our life is filled with the screen. It's filled with the phone. It's filled with the tablet. And because of that, even for our kids never learn to imagine. Kids never learn to invent. They never learn to wonder, to create. Some of the greatest inventions happen because somebody got bored, right? And it's this moment, it's this creativity that now, because our brain is just firing all the time, our brain is not able just to sit in silence. That's creativity. Let me talk to you about sleep, right? Now we know through study that the blue light from our screens, that suppresses melatonin. Melatonin is the natural, right? Some of us maybe take it in a gummy form or a pill form because it helps us go to sleep. Our bodies produce melatonin, and melatonin is the natural substance. It's a natural chemical that helps us go to sleep. So if we're on our screens, or if our kids are on our screens right before they go to bed, they're seeing the video games, they're seeing the blue lights, they're seeing the phones, the tablets. That blue light is suppressing the melatonin, and they're having a poor sleep. Well, we know easily, right? What does poor sleep affect? Poor sleep affects our learning. Poor sleep affects their mood. Poor sleep affects their emotional regulation. Poor sleep affects their immune system. Poor sleep affects their behavior. And listen, oftentimes because of that, they did a study and a research, and they've said that children should ideally stop recreational screens at least 1 hour before bedtime. Why? Because of that blue light in the screens, right? That's just the brain that we just, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, right, of what happens in the brain. Let's talk about the emotional effects of screen time. I know what you're thinking, like emotional effects, like how is there emotional effects? Well, now because our brain is not functioning properly, because their brains are not developing, because their brains are not learning how to be bored and be creative and dream. There's emotional effects that come with this. There's higher anxiety. There's more comparison, more FOMO, fear of missing out, right? Lower self-esteem, cyberbullying. We can keep going on and talking about that, because oftentimes, particularly, as our kids are getting older and they're on social media doesn't show real life. Right, come on. Even as a parent and as an adult or as grandparents, you ever looked at people's social media like, man, maybe it's a picture of their family, and they're all like, they're smiling and they're hanging out and they're cheesing. We kind of have a rule in my house. You can post the good photo, but you always have to post one or two of the photos that it took to get the good photo, because nobody ever posts the photos of them like yanking their kid by the arm, trying to get them to smile. The brothers swinging on the other brother. Nobody ever posts those photos, right? Again, everybody just likes to post a little snapshot of the picture perfect world. That's not real life, right? All social media does, it shows everybody's highlight reel. And oftentimes, even our kids, they can begin to compare their normal life to everyone's best moments, because that's what it is. So it's that emotional effect that begins to weigh on them. Higher anxiety, more comparison. Right, maybe they see a group hanging out, and they weren't invited, so now the fear of missing out. It's the emotional effects now that is in their life because of this tablet, this screen, this thing on their phone, the unrealistic expectations because they see stuff on YouTube and they don't realize that it took that person 10 years to get to that place, and they want overnight success. Again, the list can go on and on of the damage that the screen time does to our kids in their minds, in their emotions. And I think that's important why as parents, as grandparents, we gotta again move back. Again, I'm not against technology. I'm thankful for phones. I'm thankful for screens that can help us be more effective and productive, but we have to limit and be weary of those things controlling our life. I think it's a good thing for us to think about of like, how do we push our kids back outside? How do we push our kids away from those screens? Because outside play matters, right? And that's what I want to talk to you about. Like, it's important to get our kids off the couches and out of their bedrooms and the video controllers out of their hands and back outside, because outside, research tells us, being outside is where you become very hopeful. Again, even for kids, think about it. They are designed to move. Like, that's the way they're wired. That's the way that they are put together. They're designed for movement as kids, right? And oftentimes, even as we as parents, grandparents begin to help them discover that and understand that, outdoor, right? Again, moving them outdoors, moving them off the couch, out of the bed, out of the bedrooms. Outdoor play builds better brains, believe it or not. Again, there was a study that they did about outside play in kids, in their brains and in their bodies, what it does. And the research showed that outdoor play, just playing outside, this is wild. It produces executive functioning. It improves and produces attention. It improves problem solving. It improves memory. It improves language, social skills, creativity, just by going outside and being around nature and playing with other kids. Again, you and I could probably remember growing up, when you're outside playing with kids, you got to figure it out sometimes, right? There are some strife, there is some arguments, and you learn how to figure it out. Maybe there's not a lot of things to do, so you get creative in games to play, all of those things. And then even being around nature, we know nature, study after study tells us how nature reduces stress. Again, being outside, it lowers stress hormones. Being outside lowers blood pressure, it lowers anxiety. Children return, this is crazy, they return calmer after outdoor activity. Because now they've went out there, they've run around, they've got some energy off, they're dreaming, they're creating, they're problem solving, their attention. Now, when they come in from outside, they're calmer now because they've experienced what they were designed to experience. And we know too, study shows us that movement builds the brain. Movement literally wires the brain. So as a kid begins to climb and run and jump and balance and throw, all of the things that happen outside, right? All of that stimulates brain development. Movement increases blood flow to the brain and supports learning. This is wild stuff, right? Again, it's about raising our kids to be the best that they can be. Outdoor play builds resilience. Again, think about it. Outside, there's bugs, right? There's mud, there's failure, there's risk, there's problem solving, there's conflict. So oftentimes when kids are outside, as we help them embrace, get off the screen, get off the video game, and go outside, kids begin to embrace and learn in life, hey, I can figure this out, right? And that kind of confidence can't be downloaded from a screen. That kind of confidence can be downloaded from a video game. It can be downloaded from a YouTube short or a Instagram reel, that, hey, I can I can figure this out. I can be resilient, man. I can face what's out there in this world. I can face the problem solving. Again, because as they begin to play with other kids and other people, again, now what are they doing? They're building friendships, right? Because now kids are outside, they're negotiating. Some are discovering their leaders. Some are discovering I'm good at following. Some are discovering what it's like to share, to apologize, to solve problems. And again, what happens? Screens rarely teach those. They rarely teach those kids. I kind of joke around right now with some of the students that I work with. I've got teenage boys, and then I work with a lot of teenagers in my professional job. And it cracks me up of how I like to watch kids who have a crush on each other. Even my own boys have done this before. Like I've seen my own son will be at a setting, and him and the girl that he had a crush on, they'll be hanging out in the same setting for an hour and a half, and I've watched them won't say a word to each other. And the moment they get home, here it comes. It's texting back and forth like crazy. And I'm like, now how was you just in the same room with her for an hour and a half and you didn't say even hi to her, and you get home, right? What is that? We're hiding. Our kids are learning to hide behind a screen, right? They're not understanding the power of that interaction. So again, I have a rule in my house. If you can't talk to them face to face, you don't know how to talk to them face to face, you surely ain't gonna text them conversations. And it's helped my boys. Again, what am I doing? I'm trying to help them embrace, right, understanding the skills that they have. So all right, I know that's a lot of information. So what can we do, right? As parents, probably as a mom and a dad, you're like, okay, I'm kind of just, you fed me from the fire hose there, and you kind of just gave me a bunch of stats and statistics about the brain and emotions, and all right, man, I get it. Like, what do I need to do? Maybe I didn't realize how much my kid or my grandkids are on the screen. So what can we do? We're not going to panic, all right? Don't just close this session out and go in there and rip every screen out of your kid's room or out of their hands. Like, we're not going to do that, right? We're not going to just panic and freak out. But however, what can we do? We can do more than just reduce screens, because naturally that's our reaction, right? Well, I'm just going to reduce the screen time. I'm going to put the screen time locks on their phone, which are good. We have those. But our natural reaction is just reduce it. But I want to challenge us, don't just reduce screens, replace them, okay? Like, instead of no phone, or instead of like get off the video game, try stuff like this. Hey, let's go shoot some basketball. Hey, let's go ride bikes. Hey, let's go cook some dinner together. Let's go fishing. Hey, let's go build something. Let's go read something. Because watch this. Here's the statement. Are you ready for it? Connection beats restriction. Oh, that was good right there. That was good. Hopefully you write that down. Connection beats restriction. Because oftentimes as parents, and again, listen, I'm all for restrictions. I'm all for grounding. I'm all for limiting. That's good stuff. But again, as parents, what's our goal? We want to connect with our kids. We want to raise our kids. We don't want the screens raising our kids. We want to raise our kids. They're our disciples. They're our little mini-me's, right? And so we want to be able to pour into them. So what do we have to do? We have to connect with them, not just don't do this, don't do that, but hey, let me connect with you. So how do we do that? Create some family rhythms, right? Like some ideas maybe. Here's one that we have. No phones at dinner time. No phones when you're around the table and we're hanging out together. Why? Because we want to conversate. We want to hang out. We want to hear about each other's days. We want to talk about, and again, some of us as toddlers are like, I don't know what to talk about. I want to talk about what they colored at school. I want to talk about, what did they play at Resource. I want to hear about those days, because again, as little kids, and I've shared about this in some other sessions, as parents, if we're able, and if we teach our kids that even as toddlers, that we care about their conversations, right? Even though it's just about coloring books and Legos and what we did at recess. But if our kid understands that mom and dad and grandma and grandpa listens to me when I talk, those conversations that are just about Legos and recess and coloring books turn in, as they get older, about life and relationships. And I need some advice. And I'm going through this, and I've got some mind games happening. Dad, I need some advice. Mom, I want to talk to you. Why? Because we've established early on, that connection, right? So no phones at dinner, maybe no phones in the bedroom, right? Hey, you got to charge them up at nighttime. That's great. Everybody's phones are going to charge on the island. Everybody's phones are going to charge, in the kitchen or in the living room. Maybe think about one family adventure that each week. It ain't got to be anything crazy, but maybe one night, hey, one night we're going to go have a bonfire together right outside. That's easy. We're going to go have some s'mores, or hey, we're going to go on a walk together. We're going to go on a bike ride. Here's a crazy one. Maybe a technology Sabbath one day each week of no phones and no screens at all on this day, right? Again, maybe before scrolling. Again, just trying to get you some family rhythms. We're thinking outside the box before scrolling every night. Hey, everybody's phones are away, even moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas. We're going to read a book for the next 30 minutes before we go to bed. Hey, we're going to go outside every day for 30 minutes, including us. Again, and so here's the important thing, though. So what we have to do as parents, we have to model what we want. So our kids should see us reading. Our kids should see us going outside. Our kids should see us not on our phones at the dinner table, right? Whatever family rhythm we're creating, we model what we want, because children, our kids, notice what we do. And I wonder here's just a question again, not to make us feel bad. I wonder if our kids right now copy our screen habits. Would they be a healthier one or a less healthy one? Think about that. If my kid copied my screen, hey, there's times that I'm like, ooh, it'd be unhealthy. And there's times that I'm like, all right, yeah, that'd probably be okay. So again, every family is different, right? Everyone is different and moves at different speeds. But this is just making us think about, right, and be more intentional about what is it that we're going to do to help our kids be the healthiest and best kids possible as they're growing up. Again, how do we raise these kids in a screen saturated world? One final thought, a few final thoughts I'll leave with you, is one thing, again, every family is different, but one thing that has been challenged to a lot of people, and you can even read study after study, there's more and more coming after this, is that the delaying of personal smartphones and unrestricted social media until kids demonstrate, right, an increase in maturity. That oftentimes if we do that, that can reduce unnecessary exposure during critical development years. So again, it's going back to what we said earlier. Hey, my kids I have a freshman, a junior, and even a freshman in college. And guess what? They still have restrictions on their phone, right? Not because I'm controlling or because I have restrictions on my phone that my wife has the password to. That when I run out of screen time, guess what? I'm out of screen time. She got the password, right? And so for you and I, it's setting those things up, again, not because we're controlling or trying to be a helicopter parent, but because we're wanting to raise our kids to be the best kids that they can be and exceed or succeed as best as they can in the classroom and outside of the classroom. Again, the goal for you and I, here's my final encouragement for you and I. The goal isn't to raise kids who can use technology. Anybody can do that, right? The goal is for you and I as moms, dads, and grandparents, the goal is to raise kids who can lead themselves. It's to raise kids who can think deeply, to raise kids who can love people, to raise kids who can make wise decisions. So their brain has to be clear. They have to have that creative time, right? They have to have those creative moments, those silent moments, to be able to let their brain be still and just kind of dream, to create kids who can live with purpose. And years from now, your children won't remember every video they watched, but they'll remember bike rides. They'll remember campfires. They'll remember playing catch with mom and dad and grandma and grandpa. They'll remember family walks. They'll remember building forts, right? They'll remember reading together. They'll remember conversations at the dinner table. And again, I think the greatest gift that we can give our kids isn't a better screen. Hear me on this. I'm talking to myself. It's our presence, right? It's our presence. And so what do we do as we're raising kids in this screen-oriented, this screen-addicted world? Again, I think it's important to understand that we as parents, we don't have all the answers, but I know one answer we do have is just us. It's just being there, right? Again, so how do we do that? We understand the importance of the brain developing, right? It's not developed until the age of 25. We understand of how excessive screen time can make ordinary activities feel less rewarding. Again, sleep, right? It's one of the biggest casualties of late night screen time use. And so we understand that attention grows with practice. So we're going to protect time for reading activities, those type of things. Boredom is healthy. We remember that boredom is healthy. It fuels creativity and problem solving. So we're going to help our kids get outside, even ourselves, because outdoor play strengthens the brain, the body, the emotional resilience, face-to-face conversations, right? Build social and emotional intelligence. We're going to build some family routines, right? We're going to understand that our kids learn more from what parents model than what we say. And again, we understand that technology is a powerful servant, but it's a poor master. So we're going to teach our kids to use it wisely and not be ruled by it. And so again, I know there's a lot of things we've shared. Go back and watch it again, but just pick out one thing. Don't get overwhelmed. Maybe your one thing is, you know what, we're going to put some family routines together. Maybe your one thing is, you know what, I'm just going to start with me and I'm going to model it to my kids. I'm not going to scroll at nighttime when we're all just hanging out. Maybe we're going to pick up a book, or we're going to pull out a board game and play together. Pick one thing, right, to understand and to start to work on. And I know you can do it. Why do I know you can do it? Because you care. Why do I know you care? Because you're here and you're watching this and you're hanging out. Hey, I hope that it has helped you out. I hope you have got a few things and have gleaned a few things of what to do as we as parents are raising kids in a screen saturated world. I always love our time together, and I can't wait to see you again next time. See you.